The clock is ticking for these three teams as we head into the 2025-26 season. I'll start here with the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, this is an obvious choice. Since 2018, the Sixers invested a ton into putting talent around Joel Embiid. This included players like Ben Simmons, James Harden, Jimmy Butler, and countless others in an attempt to finally make a run towards the title. Unfortunately, as we all know, the Sixers never made it past the second round of the playoffs and find themselves stuck in pretty much an NBA Finals or bust scenario. The thing is, right now, they've got the talent on paper. There's obviously Joel Embiid, there's Tyrese Maxey, there's Paul George, and also Jared McCain. But unfortunately, the constant health issues haunt this team time and time again. Embiid is already rumored to miss training camp, and we aren't getting any promising news about his knee issues. Paul George is aging and played more than 60 games just once in the last 6 years. The upside just isn't there health-wise for this team. So if this does end up being a season where the Sixers either just fall short or just can't stay healthy in the first place, the front office is going to seriously shake this roster up. And by that, I mean possibly go from trying to contend to looking into a full rebuild. Now, the upside with rebuilding is at least they do have a lot of great young talent on paper to start with, as they've got BJ Edgecombe, Tyrese Maxey, and Jared McCain, who had a great start to his rookie year. Nonetheless, the pressure is on the Sixers to make a massive, deep playoff run and potentially try to make their first final series in the Joel Embiid era. Next, I've got the LA Clippers. Now, they're a little similar to the Sixers in their own way. They've had an influx of talent through the years with players like Paul George, Russell Westbrook, Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell, now James Harden and Kawhi Leonard, and a ton of other guys, but just never truly got over the hump. Now, they did make the West Finals once back in 2021, but you'd have to agree that's still a bit underwhelming for a team that always kept two top 15 players on the roster since 2019. It's reminiscent of the Lob City era, where they had these amazing, talented teams with an influx of different role players next to Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, but they never truly could get over the hump. Now, to be fair, similar to Philly, they've run into a lot of injury issues, so they're also in a spot where you really have to question the direction of the entire Clippers franchise if they run into the exact same stuff they've run into before. If injuries continue to be a problem, you have to ask if it's even worth trying to build a contender with Kawhi Leonard and James Harden anymore in the first place. Luckily, they did have an amazing, productive offseason with the acquisition of John Collins, Chris Paul, and Bradley Beal, so they're really deep with a ton of two-way upside, but the window is closing for the Clippers as they're in dire need of making a real run towards a championship. My third team here is the Milwaukee Bucks. They had a pretty interesting offseason, releasing Damian Lillard while acquiring Miles Turner and Cole Anthony. These were solid pickups, but it is going to be tough to find consistent shot creation around Giannis, who's already in a bit of a strange position right now with the team. Trade rumors aren't absolutely crazy right now with Giannis, but they're still lingering out there, so it's in this team's best interest to do whatever they need to do to make this season better than the last two. The Bucks are also in this weird position where they had an amazing pick back in 2020. The Bucks are also in this weird position where they had an amazing peak in 2021, winning a championship, but since then, despite making changes and additions to the roster and core, they've been unable to replicate that success. So you have to wonder, do they have the potential to get close to that level they were once at? Seriously, nothing was more disappointing than wanting to see Damian Lillard play next to a superstar for the first time in his career, him getting traded over to Milwaukee, and seeing them underwhelm in those 2 seasons. Again, to be fair, injuries did play a part in it, but still, the fact that the Bucks brought in Dame and a ton of different head coaches and couldn't make anything of that, it was just tragic and really one of the most underwhelming team situations in the history of the game of basketball. All of these things combined make for a pressure-filled season out in the East for a team that was once looked at as one of the 3 best teams in the entire league. Now, I'm not counting out any of these teams to make a championship level run next season, but what I am saying is the pressure is on them to finally make a massive shift before the front offices have to make a decision on potentially abandoning something they've been trying to build over the last couple of seasons.